Welcome back to Sports Federation TV, the show where we chat about a range of different codes of sport, brought to you by the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. Karate is one of the codes of sport which are members of SASCOC. Karate is divided into 3 different disciplines. 1, full contact. 2, semi-contact. 3, kata. Today we're going to focus more specifically on full contact. To join us and tell us a little bit about it and some of their travels to Japan, Mr. JP Nadir, you well?
Well, Elton, thanks for having us.
Good. Xolani, you good?
Yes, I'm good. How are you guys?
All good, all good.
Thank you for having us.
JP, you're wearing a very interesting t-shirt with a lovely badge on there.
Yes.
What is that for?
Well, it's the Protea badge, which was issued to us by Karate South Africa through the SASCOC procedural process. It's been a long trek to get it, and we managed to travel overseas now and go and compete in the World Championships. Yeah, we do a style called KyokushinKai Karate. It's a full contact style, and of course it's KyokushinKai South Africa, which is part of the International Karate Organization, and we're a member of Karate South Africa. So fully legitimate style, all the boxes ticked, and yeah, we're happy that we were able to go and represent South Africa officially, legitimately.
Let's take a step back. How did you manage to get qualified? How did you qualify? What is the process to get to a qualification to earn the right to wear that t-shirt?
Yeah, that's a good question, Elton. I think Xolani, who's with me here, was right in the middle of that, and it started this selection process for this world tournament, the KyokushinKai International Karate Organization World Tournament, which takes place only every 4 years, started in fact in July 2018 already, when they had the All Africa selection tournament, and guys like Xolani had to compete, and people like myself had to compete at the South African championships. First you have to go through a provincial championships, then you compete at a national championships, and only there, if you're successful in first or second or positions, do you stand eligible to be selected. So yeah, you have to basically, if proper colors process is followed, you either can get selected on merit or you selected on positional placing.
Xolani, you've come through that entire ranks. What does it mean for you to wear that t-shirt?
This is not the first time, but I'm happy because you know some people, they want this badge, but it's not easy to find. So we have to follow the process, asking people to help you. Like JP, you know, there is the one it was focused on this thing. Like we are following all the time, ask him how far is it. I know it's not easy, but we're happy. At the end of the day, we found this badge, and we are happy. All the team, they found this thing. So we are so very, very happy, and we're thankful for that.
How many hours of training do you do a week?
Sure. I can't even explain, bro. It's a lot of hours. We've been preparing for since last year. We start focusing since last year, November, because there was the All-African champion. Then after All-Africa, we're starting preparing for this tournament because we know it's a big tournament. So we're starting the training Sunday. There was in roads. So we like a week, maybe we're training like in the morning, we must go run before you go to work. Remember, we're not like people in Japanese people, because for them, they train every day. For us, we have to squeeze ourselves. In the morning, we have to go to run before you go to work, 5 o'clock. For me, myself, 5 o'clock, I was wake up 5 o'clock, go run and come back, then I must shower and go to work. After work, again, I must go do something. There's a lot we may have to squeeze, because at the end of the day, you need to prepare when you're going there.
For sure. Let's take a look at the short little clip on what they do for training. Let's check this out. As you can see, these two young men spent a little bit of time playing up and down stairs, JP.
Yeah,
You looked a bit tired there, my friend.
Yes, no, that's Rhodes Memorial training on a Sunday. I think Xolani was elaborating earlier on about, just how hard Kyokushin Karate's training is. It's a full contact style, and you have to be extremely fit, and your body has to be conditioned to be able to compete in the style. So one of the things that's been happening with Kyokushin in South Africa, in Cape Town for the last more than 50 years, on a Sunday morning the guys will train at Rhodes Memorial. And as you can see in that video there, it's brutal training. You have to really stick it out. So it's sprinting on the mountain, up and down the mountain hills there, and jumping up and down those stairs. And those stairs are not normal height; they're a little bit higher than normal. So it's physically demanding, but it really builds a good fitness base.
And in terms of that linking into translating into your actual event fitness, how does that kind of bring it across? Because you're building endurance, and now you have to go into and spar against this young man, and he hits the living crap out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you, is that just a mental game?
It's very much. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. This is a very mentally you have to be tough, because you take a lot of injuries, and you have to be able to sustain that. And so when you train at the likes of a Rhodes Memorial or the other type of training that we do, and you're always pushing yourself physically to the limits, you begin to understand your own mental strength, and you begin to understand how much you've got left in the tank, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think any high performance athlete will understand what it is that I'm talking about. So when you then are in competition, and when the going starts getting tough, and you start thinking about giving up, you start remembering how tough the training times were. And that's, I think, for us a large part of the understanding of the connection between the physical training and when it actually applies in competition.
And like Xolani said, we need, as athletes, you need to balance. It's a fine balance between training, living, and life, because you've got to work, you've got to train, and you've got a family.
That's true.
How do you balance that?
We try. It's not easy, but we try, because you remember now we've got families now, and in your mind you need to be prepared yourself. Since you go to overseas, when you go in there, you need to be fit, mentally, physically, you need to be fit. So you have to squeeze whatever you do. You need to make sure you're balancing, because you remember your wife is needing you this side, and your sensei like Shiankin and JP, they need you because sparring party. Like if I'm not coming to the dojo, it says like, we're training together. If I'm not coming today and tomorrow is in, it's gonna be a problem for me, because the series is not gonna be the same now. Maybe my level is gonna be down, or his level, then it's gonna be difficult to reach him. So we need to push yourself all the time. You need to push yourselves.
Yeah, Elton, if I can add to that, I think guys like Xolani need to get a lot of credit. They're competing in the World Open Championships, which is only around every 4 years, and is 200 of the world's absolute best fighters.
Sure.
And we don't have the same resources necessarily as the other countries. They compete on a regular basis. They fight on a circuit. They compete against other top international competitors. And so our local guys have to work so much harder. They have to travel so much further, and they
spend so much more money just to compete.
Spend so much more money just to be able to compete. And so we really have to give credit to our South African team, our guys who put it all out there. And in this case, they went overseas and competed in Japan and did exceptionally well.
And when we come back from the break, we'll find out exactly how these two young men fared in Japan. Let's take an ad break. See you now. Welcome back to Sports Federation TV. We continue our conversation with JP and Xolani about their experiences and their fighting in Japan. JP, so we've now spoken about a little bit about the preparation. What's it like in the dojo before you got there, preparing you to go to this World Championships?
I think it's, the more experience you have, the more better you're able to process things. But in those last few days before leaving, the tension starts to build. You start to get a little bit more zoned in, and you're maybe not making as much conversation with everybody as you used to. And yeah, so the last few days before you go is intense. But the more experience you have, the more you're able to deal with it.
Xolani, how did you find it, and how did your family deal with it? I mean, with all due respect, you come in a culture where there isn't a history of karate. Now you're coming in and you're saying, guys, I'm going to Japan. How do people respond to you?
What I can say, they know I've been doing karate. Before we meet, she knows I was doing karate. Like now, karate is my thing, because karate has helped me a lot of stuff. Like if you do karate, you're different with other people. Some people don't understand it, because we're learning respect. You discipline yourself, you don't drink, you don't do a lot of things what they do. So that's why I love karate, because I've been, for the rest of my life I was doing karate. I started when I was 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. Like now I'm 34 years old, I'm still doing karate. I love karate, it's my sport, I love it. Some people, they ask me, why you do karate, because there's no money on this. And it's not about money for me, it's about, I love it, it's in my blood. Some people, they will never understand it until you doing karate. Maybe you will understand. I think JP will understand that, because he's doing the same thing what I'm doing. But if you're telling people, why don't you think, where is money, but you've been winning trophies, and some people, they really don't understand. So we've tried to explain them, engage them, and to bring their child, because for us, if you see the youngsters, because you can see this world now, people, they start smoking when they're young. So once you start doing karate, you avoid all these things. You don't drink, you don't do drugs. Everything is well. I love karate.
Let's take a look at the last little bits of training before we venture into Japan. Let's check this out. There's no way I'm gonna do karate or even get into an argument with either of you two watching that, and that's just your training. What's it like in Japan, JP? I mean, if that's your training, translate that into world championships. How intense can that be compared to that? I mean, chalk and cheese.
Yeah, I think once you get there, you get into the rhythm. You're immediately surrounded by everybody else that's at an international level. So you forget about everything you've done, and you become quite comfortable. And that's the nice thing about karate, is the fact that globally it's almost like a family. You can go anywhere in the world, and if you're doing karate, especially of course Kyokushin karate, there's always a welcoming home. So when we get to Japan and we compete there, everybody's on the same wavelength. Everybody's been training hard to be there. Everybody's supposed to be the best in the world to be there, and so you take on a different sort of mindset when you're there. And I think for us, the really special component here on this tour was that for the first time in our history of Kyokushin karate, we achieved the Protea colors, and the team went there as a unified team. We went there dressed as South Africa, almost with a Madiba-esque type tracksuit, with various symbols on us, from the traditional shield to the assegai to the flag and so on. And people all around Japan, the competitors from internationally and Japan, were talking about South Africa. Of course, we've just won the World Cup, the rugby. So they're talking even more about South Africa. But we were really proud as a nation to be there, and that was exceptional.
How did we fare as a nation, and give us some of the highlights of some of the athletes?
So the competition format, and Xolani can tell you more about this, the competition format for 200 competitors is if you have to win your fights to be able to make it to the top one. So after all of the competitors have competed, there will only be one winner. So if you lose, you're out, and so it's a elimination process.
Straight away.
It's a straight away
one round game over.
One round game over. So it's really, you must measure it on the performance in the time that you're competing, the 3 minutes and the 2 minutes and the 2 minutes. It's no stop start. It is well, at least it's not a point system in full contact. It's about who's the toughest at the end and has managed to beat their opponent. So Xolani did extremely well. He managed to take his an international champion. He managed to take him through the first round into the second round, and ended up with a really fantastic personal best, in my opinion.
Xolani, tell us, what was that fight like?
Yo, that fight was difficult, man. I was fighting with a Russian guy. He's a world champion in world weight. So I was doing my best. I tried to do my best, because I was the senior to the guys that we went to the overseas. So all of them was expecting for them. So Xolani's been in Japan so many times, so we need to do well. So I did try my best. And the fight was not the easy fight, but I tried.
It's
just about who you get chosen, and it's about the draw, I suppose, at JP.
Yeah, I think at an international level, the margins are so small. And if you look at Xolani's fight and all the other South African guys' fight, it could have gone anyway. Nobody lost outright. It was a judge's decision, and I think it's like you actually have to be there to witness just how spectacular it is. It's very hard to explain. Physically demanding and two absolute high performance athletes going at the same level, and yeah, so a really good performance from our South African guys.
Eating and kicking each other. Yo, I shudder to think how your bodies feel after just one bout, and then you've got how many bouts in a day, JP?
Well, the guys who eventually win the tournament, they would have competed over 3 days, and by then they would have had 6 or 7 fights, which would have lasted either 3 minutes or 2 minutes or another 2 minutes. On top of that, they would have had to break wood, and so the winner of the tournament eventually might have gone through a number of different fights to win.
Rumor has it that you finished second?
Yep, I was lucky. I was not in the same division as Xolani. I was in a seniors division. I'm happy with my performance, and managed to come away with a silver medal, and I'm happy.
So you're now ranked number 2 in the world. Is that the official title, JP?
Possibly in that category. But yeah, it was enjoyable.
What made it so special? Was there anything special about it?
Yeah,
for you?
I think I competed last year, and I managed to win last year in my division. This year in April, unfortunately, I went there with high expectations, and I got sick. And at this level, if anything goes wrong, if you bump your toe in the weeks before, you get cold, anything goes wrong, you can fall off the bus, so to speak, quite quickly. This year, I ticked a few more boxes, and things went well. The part that I think struck for me a chord was when we left. And when we were issued the Protea colors, a lot of people said, as they do on a rather casual basis, good luck, go overseas, bring back the medals. You know, every time we send someone to the Olympics, or we send the catchphrase we use is, good luck, go, bring back the medals.
Yeah.
Bringing back medals is not that simple. Especially when you have 200 athletes and only one of them is going to get a medal.
Yeah.
And so when I stood there, and I was one of the last fighters that had to compete, when I stood there, I realized that this wasn't just about me doing my best and trying to make that get that result for myself. I realized at that stage that I needed to bring back a medal for South Africa, for Karate South Africa.
Yeah.
And so that added a little bit more pressure, but in a way it was what carried me through that little bit extra. And now I also have a better understanding of what athletes talk about when they say they played for their country or they played for the jersey. Yeah.
Well done, JP. Xolani, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at this medal. In closing, JP, show us
Yeah, really.
what it looks like.
Yeah. So when you I'll give this to Xolani to hold. When you yeah, there it is. That's the silver medal. It's fairly heavy, and I didn't do the the biting thing, but yeah, that's the medal. And when you're there and they do the medal ceremony at the end, you get given this certificate, and they hand it over to you with a lot of formality, and they actually read you the certificate, congratulating you on all the kind of the moral aspects, the important components of why you were competing, self-discipline and honor and integrity, and that's also quite special. There's not just a hand over and thank you very much.
Yeah.
They actually remind you, the sport of karate, the person that hands it over to you actually reminds you that you have to continue with the sport of karate, and you have to keep contributing back to community, back to society, and live a sense of honor.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for the role models that you are in the sport of karate and in the world. Continue the good fight.
Thank you
No
so
pun
much.
intended.
Thank you.
Let's take an ad break. We'll be right back. See you now.